All right, let's jump right in. We're going to start this story at the very end, on a battlefield filled with ghosts and unimaginable grief. This is Kunti speaking. She's a queen, and her biggest secret has just exploded into the open because of a devastating war. And that secret, it changes everything. It turns her victorious sons into the unknowing architects of a family tragedy. So picture this. The great Kurukshetra war is finally over. The Pandava brothers have won, but their victory feels empty, just hollowed out by all the loss. And it's right here, in this moment of mourning, that a secret that's been buried for decades is about to surface. So the real question is, how on earth did we get to this point? Well, to really get it, we've got to go back, way back, back to a time when Queen Kunti wasn't a queen at all. She was a young girl named Pritha, and her entire life was about to be turned upside down by a single act of devotion. So, you see, as a young princess, Pritha was tasked with serving this sage, Durvasa, who was, well, let's just say he was famously difficult. But she did it, with unwavering dedication, and he was so pleased that he gave her a boon, a powerful gift. It was a secret mantra, a chant, that could literally summon any god she wanted and allow her to have their child. Now, what's a young, unmarried princess supposed to do with a power like that? Well, you know how it is. Youthful curiosity is a heck of a thing. She just had to see if it worked. And that one moment of curiosity led to a choice that would shadow her for the rest of her days. So, driven by this curiosity, she tests the mantra. She picks a god, Surya, the glorious sun god, and she says the words. Maybe she didn't even think it would actually work, but it did. The mantra was absolute. No takebacks. The god appeared, and there was no escaping what seemed next. And the result? A son is born. Not just any son, but Karna. He's literally born with divine armor and earrings fused to his skin, marking him as a child of a god. He's radiant, protected, destined for greatness. I mean, what a gift, right? Except, for his young unwed mother, it was a complete and utter disaster. And just like that, this gift became an impossible choice for Kunti, trapping her not just between love and fear, but between her own heart and her sacred duty, her dharma. You have to understand the dilemma she was in. On one hand, there's this fierce, instant mother's love for her beautiful son, this child who was literally as radiant as the sun. But on the other hand, there was absolute paralyzing fear, the shame, the scorn, the ruin it would bring to her and her entire family. In her world, it was everything. So, with a heart that was just completely shattered, she made a choice, an unthinkable choice. She placed her baby boy into a little basket and pushed him into the river. She just watched as the current carried him and her secret away, praying it would all just vanish. But secrets like that, they don't disappear, do they? Decades go by, and just when you think it's buried forever, it comes roaring back to the surface. And it does so on the very eve of the Great War. So here's what happened in those silent years. Kunti gets married, becomes a queen, and has 5 more sons, the famous Pandavas. Meanwhile, the baby in the basket? He's found by a charioteer and his wife. They name him Karna. He grows up to be this incredible, renowned warrior, but he has no idea who he really is, and in a cruel twist of fate, he ends up siding with the enemies of his unknown brothers. So now, in a desperate, last-minute attempt to stop this war, Kunti goes to find him. She finds Karna by the river Ganges, and she finally tells him the truth. She begs him, come join your brothers, join your rightful family. But just imagine hearing that. Karna is heartbroken, furious. He says, you threw me away when I was a baby, and now you want to claim me as your son just to save your other sons? No, I can't abandon the people who actually gave me a name, who gave me honor. He refuses. And in that moment, their tragic fate is sealed for everyone. And that brings us right back to where we started. The war is over. The battlefield is quiet. And Kunti's secret is finally about to come out. So the Pandavas, the victors, are there performing the final rites for all the warriors who have fallen. And as they do, their mother, Kunti, walks towards them. She has one last thing to tell them. She tells them, offer the rites for Karna too. He was my firstborn son, your eldest brother. And just like that, with those words, their entire world just shatters. Their victory means nothing. Their whole struggle, it's all turned to ash. Can you even imagine the shock, the grief for a brother they never even knew they had? And then the horrifying, gut-wrenching realization that they killed him. They killed their own brother. Their victory wasn't a victory at all. It was a tragedy. Her eldest son, Yudhishthira, he just looks at her and says it all. He says, "Mother, you have hidden a fire in the folds of your cloth." And what a perfect way to put it, right? This secret wasn't just a secret. It was like a hidden flame she carried with her all those years. And now everyone has been burned by it. So when we look back at the silence of Printha, what's the big takeaway here? Because this is so much more than just an old story about gods and heroes. It really shows us how one choice, just one single decision made out of fear, can ripple through generations. How a secret can become a burden so heavy that it leads to a war pitting brother against brother, destroying a family from the inside. And that leaves us with a pretty tough question, doesn't it? Was her silence a failure of courage, a terrible mistake? Or was it a harrowing sacrifice? The only choice a woman in her position, bound by the strict rules of her time, could possibly make. There's no easy answer, and that's what makes her story so powerful and so tragically human.
For more interesting stories, please subscribe to our Epics Our Stories channel.